As a startup franchisor, as an emerging franchisor, you may be underselling your franchise opportunity. You may be ignoring key elements of what makes your brand unique and why franchise buyers should be buying into your franchise system. We have an amazing interview, amazing conversation. Shaina Denny, founder of Dogdrop, and Shaina's going to share her journey from tech industry to franchisor, and she's got a great perspective on franchise sales websites, how she approaches her business, and some key advice, which is to view your franchise system, to view your business as if it were a product on a shelf. What are the attributes? What are the benefits? And how are you going to transform lives of franchisees? We had such a good conversation before I got started, and I feel like it all gets let down with the intro there. Shaina, I'm glad we're spending some time together. I've been a fan of what you're doing with Dogdrop. I love the brand, and I love seeing at least little parts of the journey you've been on for a couple of years here.
Thanks. I appreciate it. I'm excited to be here today.
Yeah, and I will. So let's dive in, right? New franchisor, emerging franchisor, Dogdrop. You're in a subscription-based model, and you'll go into it. But for everyone watching the video and checking out, I would go to Shaina's website. I would take a look at Dogdrop. Outside looking in, I see a very thoughtful brand, very focused on deliverables to franchisees and transformation. And that all sounds good. And so many franchisors think they're doing that, but it all comes down to implementation. So Shaina, just a brief overview. Dogdrop, what's going on and what's the mission look like?
Sure. So we didn't invent dog daycare. Dog daycare isn't new, but I think the way that we're doing it is. So instead of just slapping a cool logo on the same business model, we actually scratched everything that we knew about the daycare industry, which I may have been naive. I didn't know much at all, but I looked at it. If I'm a modern dog daycare parent, what kind of place would I want to drop off my dog? And I started with that question, and that's what we built the business around. So we built it from the inside out. And so it looks nice aesthetically. The model is simple. Simple doesn't mean easy, as any business owner. And it's based around convenience and flexibility for dog parents.
Okay, so when someone asks, what does it take to succeed as a franchisor? I explained to them most brands will never succeed. And the differentiator, the common denominator on success, it's always the founder. It's the jockey, not the horse. And so every time I look at Dogdrop, I just see you improving and iterating and making things better. So what you were a year ago is different from today, or at least improved. What did the journey look like in terms of just general, in terms of becoming a franchisor, things you wish you would have known, things you learned along the way, and how you've navigated to where you are today?
Yeah, so I always start when I started this business, I saw a world of building the most convenient dog care place. I didn't even know if that meant a physical location. Did that mean at someone's house? I don't know. And I kind of worked backwards. I looked at where do I want to be and how does someone want to use it? And then now how do we actually build and facilitate that from a business perspective? So we ended up with a pilot location, and we said we want something super convenient where people already live and work and play. We want to see how we can partner with multifamily developers to put locations in these high-end areas rather than in off freeways or warehouse districts. And we want it really convenient. And convenience to us is flexibility. Just pay for what you use. Common sense. If I drop my dog off for an hour and a half, I want to pay for an hour and a half. I don't want to have rigid scheduling. I want to be able to use it how I would like to use something. So we started with those principles and we built it from the ground up. And we were like, oh, cool, this concept is working. People get it. Makes sense. It's not rocket science. And then we built the technology layer on top of that. So we didn't want to say, hey, we're going to build something super fancy. And that's not the way the real physical world operates. So we got started, we operated it, then we started building the technology layer. And then at the same time, we started seeing how do we scale that business? And like I said, I always saw a world where there would be super convenient dog daycare. And that's now in the form of Dogdrop. And so through franchising, we see that we can enter more neighborhoods with the owner-operator model that we're really bullish on.
So, so you enter the franchise space. And we're going to talk about next steps. And I want to go over your website. And because your website really is a lesson for any franchisor out there on what I think how to do it the right way in a very thoughtful way. And for franchise buyers, these are things you should be looking for. But so as you enter the franchise world, someone thinking about franchising their business, or they franchised 2 years ago but feel stuck, just what are some lessons learned or thoughts you have to share with them?
Yeah, I think I've been there, and sometimes I'm like, I'm still in it. We're still a new emerging brand, right? I think it has to come from the founder and the internal team. So even when I think about our marketing, no one knows my core mission like I do, and my internal team who's eating, breathing, thinking about Dogdrop. We take this to a third-party marketing agency. Want to know what they're going to do? They're going to do a competitive analysis of everyone else at the pet space, see who's really good, and probably do the same thing and change the jargon a little bit, and your brand will turn into that agency's brand. And I've worked with other startups before this has happened. I've even done this at Dogdrop where we were like, oh, let's work with the professional on this. And slowly but surely, your brand is now the agency's brand, who is contracted to think about you for 10 hours a week or in a 6-week period. And they're not the one who really knows. So for our website, for instance, I'm like, what exactly are we trying to say? What exactly is our business? And we want to develop that from the inside out. So if ever you get stuck, I think you're more capable than you think you are. Not that you don't need other people, you don't need other resources. Founder and internal team cannot do it all, but get back to the core of how capable you are to be sitting there.
Sometimes that advice seems so obvious, but very few implement it, and it's hard to implement. So even for our firm, the most transformative thing ever was focusing on traction, strategic planning, core values, and really mission and what we do. When we're working with our franchisor clients, Shaina, one of the things we do, we have a workshop on their brand story, right? Their unique value, their transformation, founder story. And what I explain to them is if you grapple with this version 1.0 and keep getting better at it, you're really going to take control of your brand, and it's not going to be homogenized. That's the thing that frustrates me the most. I could tell you, I could repeat almost so much, and we're going to show your website in a second, which is franchise with us. If I'm in a certain space, there's going to be a phrase based off of what our business is. Uniques are going to be general, like join a $50 billion industry, training, support, without any demonstration of it. Then what really kills me, it'll say the numbers. And the numbers are not numbers a franchise investor buyer wants to know. It's here's the royalty rate you're going to pay us. Here's the initial fees. Here's our brand development fund. And I'm like, I just got to the webpage. Why do I care about this? And that's steps to become a franchisee, but not what happens next. So I'm a big fan of this. Really big fan. My takeaways, and I'd ask if you just do a quick walkthrough of how you see it, provided I know how to scroll through this stuff. Let me see here. What I like out of the gate is you're starting the dialogue. You're not mentioning franchise. You're focused on a dog daycare business, and you're already setting the narrative in terms of a solution, right? And to me, and to franchise buyers, there's confidence there. What I tell a lot of our clients, if you don't have your media right and your positioning correct, you're going to have great conversations. You're going to think people are interested, but they're not going to close a deal. They'll have a reason why they're not, family members, change of lifestyle, but it's really a lack of clarity and that there's concern that something's not being answered. So, right out of the gate, when I'm looking at your website, you're focused on, you're not just saying end-to-end solutions, you're showing what tech stacks look like. So just give me some thought process here on how you approach this.
So this was really interesting because for a while, actually, we completely undersold what we did. So we talk about, when someone's talking about franchising, I'm like, we're building the most convenient dog daycare. We train all of our staff. They're CPR certified, all of this stuff. And I always go back to the value proposition on our user, our pet parent. And I started thinking about when we updated our website last, I'm like, why do we do all of this stuff if we're not going to tell anyone? I'm like, we provide so much support, and what actually is our business? So it's always, everyone says that slogan, like, describe it to me like a 5-year-old. What is a franchise? It's a solution to help you start and grow a business. Hopefully that's what franchisors do. If you come to me, Charles, and you're like, I want to start a business, I'm going to start a dog daycare, you have a couple options. You have three options. You have one, you're going to start Charles's doggy daycare, right? You're going to start it from the ground up. You're going to look for a place. You're going to try to figure it out. The second option is you're going to buy an existing business, so ETA. And the third is you're going to franchise. Those are the three most common ways. So I'm telling you exactly what my service is. You want to start a dog daycare? I will help you, one, start it, and then I will help you grow it. That's my solution to you as a franchisor. So I kind of broke it down, explain it to me like a 5-year-old. That is what my business does. Dogdrop helps people start dog daycare businesses, and Dogdrop helps people grow their dog daycare business.
Yeah. And so, Shaina, this is just like a master class. I mean, later I'm going to ask about your back. I mean, this is just like a course in doing it the right way. And I love even your sub headline, be a pioneer in the $120 billion pet care industry, as opposed, so you're focused on the transformation, right? You're saying you can be a pioneer in this space as opposed to just the generic join a whatever industry. Also, you're starting to phrase everything the 2.0 franchise model. I love now, instead of, you're going right into your three uniques, right? End-to-end system, recurring revenue, and streamlined operations. And on a base level, I could say, well, that's superficial if that's all you say. But right out of the gate, I'm starting now to engage in your tech stack and what's behind it. I mean, could you talk a little about your perspective, in addition to marketing and positioning a website, but how you view it as a franchisor? Why are you focusing on these items for your franchise buyers? And how's your team really diving into this to create a good opportunity?
Yeah, so I actually start end-to-end system, right? I want you to start and grow your business end to end. I'm going to help you from site selection to marketing, acquisition, and retention. So for me, I'm always going back to, I think about Dogdrop. Obviously, we're a very tech-forward business, but like it's a tech solution. I offer you a service and you pay us in some form of an upfront fee or royalties, and this is almost a line-by-line item. I have my job and you have your job. So I'll help you right away with your end-to-end system. Why you should be interested in that is because then throughout the end-to-end, that middle piece, you have a streamlined operations that our technology provides, but also that we've created for you to run your day-to-day business, which is still there's a lot of manual tasks that you need to do. And then the third is why you should also be interested is I love recurring revenue, a membership model. When it comes to Dogdrop, I talk all day. We're not a Planet Fitness. You need 350 monthly members. We try to make it as simple as possible. People talk about a location. I'm like, stand outside the space. Do you think you can look around and wrangle in 350 pet parents? And if you can, one, it might be a good site for Dogdrop. Two, you have the confidence that you can run the business, because at the end of the day, it's a membership-based business. Can you acquire and retain members? And I want people to start thinking like that as an owner immediately, or we're not the right fit for them.
I think one of the most difficult or important questions franchise buyers have is, what does success look like and how do you help me succeed? So you're already talking about success looks like 350 members and here's our tech stack and here's what we're going to do. And you do it in a very differentiated way. So if you're just a franchisor and you're a restaurant and you just talk about training, support, and good food or whatever industry, I think that's where so many brands get lost. Good marketing turns out not to be marketing. It turns out to be when there's really good marketing and really smart precision in what you're offering and how you articulate it. To me, it's more about this is a founder that cares, a team that cares. They're on a mission and they're serious about what they're doing. And that's why they could be so specific.
I think in franchising, what we're really trying to show is setting expectations. If we provide this to you, do you think you can be successful? That's what I'm selling. We haven't been running Dogdrop for 30 years. I'm going to tell you, this is exactly what we're helping you with. If we give you this support, can you make this a winning business? That's it. And that's the kind of confidence. And if someone's like, I'm not sure, whatever, it doesn't mean you're not up for business ownership, but maybe come back to our system in 36 months. Right? In 5 years, if you're not confident in yourself at this point, you probably won't succeed with an emerging franchisor. If you're going to be the one, I need to see it from 500 people, from 200 people, whatever the other that number is. And so that's what we want to see from our franchise owners too. If they have the confidence that they can run the business, it's like, I'm going to do my part. here's line by line item of what my part is. Can you do your part? And can we both help each other win together?
Sheena, I'm so curious. Before Dogdrop, what was your background?
Nothing in franchising, nothing in pet. Before starting Dogdrop, I actually lived and worked in China for about 4 years. So at first I went to business school in Shanghai and I totally fell in love with it. I decided to stay and work there. I think the startup scene was really interesting. It's really iteration focused and it's focused on like the inline. It's like, okay, what can we do as fast as possible? Like next, there's no wrong. Just try the next version and see if we get it right. So I ended up working with one of the largest consumer electronic companies in the world called Xiaomi. So I stayed in Shanghai for a couple of years. Then I moved up to Beijing and was working with a Beijing-based electric vehicle startup. So very different, very operational processes, but also marketing. And I think because I come from a hardware background, it's so value proposition and spec driven, right? If you go to Apple's website, they're going to talk about the specs, the storage, the megapixels, everything right away. And that's what I think about Dogdrop. What we're building is a system to help support people. And I'm going to give you the exact spec of support. And you can see, does that meet my needs or requirements? Do I need the Apple iPhone 16 or do I need the 16 Pro? Like what specs do I need? And we want to be transparent about that.
I'm so glad I asked that question. I mean, that's that deciphers so much. And that's what it feels like when we view your site, but also speaking with you and the focus you have in terms of here's deliverables, here's the specs, here's we're treating the franchise or respecting it where we're treating it as if it were a product on a shelf, what you're getting and what you should expect. I think that's genius.
Okay. And you want to do better, right? But at the bare minimum, I'm like, this is what we're responsible for. I'm not going to overpromise. Our goal is to do better and improve. But at least if this is a fair expectation and this is reasonable for now, if we over deliver, then awesome, thumbs up. And if we don't, we need to be held accountable. And we have learnings too. Like we're not perfect. We're like, oh, we missed the mark here. Like, let's go back to it. Let's figure out what did we do as well. And so we need early franchise owners who can help us succeed, and we're there to help them succeed.
What's an ideal fit franchisee, from your perspective?
Yep. One, I always go back to an ideal franchisee is someone that will be successful running this business. And what makes someone successful running a Dogdrop is someone that can sell and retain memberships. So it's going to go back to that. That's really strong. How do you do that? You can break that up into a lot of things. Can you be likable and talk to people? It's not It's not a salesy thing, but can you get them excited about your brand to sign up? If people need to learn about your brand so that they can even sign up for a membership. Are they good at local marketing? So anything that goes around memberships, and we break that down into what those qualities are, that's really important. At the end of the day, I look for two things. That's one bucket. The second bucket is we offer a service. And at Dogdrop, we want to create moments that delight our members because that goes back to that membership part, why people sign up and why they stay at Dogdrop for a long, long time. So if we create members of delight as a service, that means as a business owner, you're making your employees and team excited because that's my service, that's my offering. And so that second part is really about leadership. Can you get this group of your employees super excited to create moments of delight for our members? And if you're able to do those two parts, then we can train the other things, but that's what we want to start with.
So you're on this journey. What's been the most challenging part for you?
It comes in different phases, right? So I think each part you're at a different challenge. Anyone sitting here, they're probably, how do I have more franchise sales? Like, trust me, if we knew, I wouldn't be talking and I only have 4 units open, right? We have 6 units that we should have completed by the end of the 12 months. I'm like, if I had all these questions, like we have put in so much time and work to get here, and there have been different challenges across every stage. But I think it goes back to our mission, scratch, it's fit, it's franchisor fit. That works. If you have a good relationship, it's each partner. Do you have good relationships with them? If not, just stay focused and cancel out the noise. Honestly, the only people you need to be thinking about is yourself. I laughed, like when I started Dogdrop, someone was like, oh, is this like I won't say it, brought up this brand that's actually one of the leading brands in the dog daycare category. And I was like, oh, I don't know. And they're like, what do you mean? Like, oh, is that your biggest competitor? I looked up this brand that had like a couple hundred units of a dog daycare. And I was like, wow, I'm so naive. I've never even heard of them, right? I'm just like, we just focus on ourselves, not to be now, we're more into the franchise industry and aware of other people within it, but just kind of do your own thing. Don't worry about the noise and like solve your own problems.
Well, outside looking in, I mean, we see it, right? I see amazing founders where, I mean, they're good friends today where there's a period of time they become a franchise, and I'm a big believer. The first, we become a franchise 90 days, but that first 24 months is foundation setting, right? Brand story, website 1.0 through 1.9, just really positioning, building up that support. In fact, I spoke with a client the other day and our decision was let's keep sales low and over support right now and plan for the following year. But it's really that foundation setting. And what you're sharing about franchisors want to sell more is there is that lull. There's that gap that you have to bridge. So for many of our brands, if you look at them from a 4-year time horizon, some of that, they look like slow growth companies. But these are founders who are doing what you're doing. If you don't have a call center, they're adding call center. They're improving the technology, the support. Then all of a sudden, you look at them over a 6-year time horizon, and now they're becoming the 1% of the 1%, right? And I think, I guess that applies to every business. But I mean, it's good you're focused on it. I mean, it seems like you're not going to stop on this mission. What do you feel like are next big steps for Dogdrop? I'm like, that's such a generic question.
The other big thing I think is a gap is when you're started a corporate brand and now you're franchising, it's your corporate stores. You're still running potentially corporate stores. Yeah. Now all your attention's on franchising. So what's happening? So that's been a challenge. Are you putting the same attention in? Are you the same support? You probably don't have no middle management between your corporate stores, obviously depending on how many units you have. And that comes down to people. For me, I'm like, brand, that I'm like, I could do that. The tech stack, I'm like, those are anything that you can do sitting on your couch on your computer, that's the easy stuff. I'm like, just lock me in my room for 3 weeks and I'll get all of that done. No problem. The hard work is what's going on the ground with your corporate units as you're growing. That's really tricky.
Shaina, how do you filter? Like we try to be as clear and objective and genuine for our clients. We're on the same mission with them, but for a lot of startups that I meet or they'll ask for advice and they're not clients and they'll say, Charles, I get so many different opinions throughout the whole franchise industry, right? And that's a frustration point for me for whatever reasons. But how do you filter as a founder, a new franchisor? Everyone's claiming to have a solution for everything and everyone has an opinion. Like, how you filter that out?
Oh, I don't know. I think you talk to enough people, you can get through the fluff, and it's kind of just at the same time focus on yourself, right? So focus on yourself, what people are going to be on your team, and also who's going to be honest with you. Oh, the amount of people who are like, I'm going to help you build $1 billion business. I'm like, that's total BS, right? I'm like, then stay next to me and help me build this business. Don't try to sell me something how you're going to. Now I'm going to be building you that business, right? And I think everyone that comes in, your idea is so good. I'm like, challenge me. Why do you think my idea is so good? I'm like, if it's that good, wouldn't have someone have done it before? Why don't we have, where are you? Because people do they want a piece of something? I only want to work with people who are going to challenge us to build something great. And if you're not providing feedback that's constructive, you're probably not adding value to that founder.
What would you say are your most durable brand assets that you're building, that you're investing in today, that are going to live throughout your franchise system and keep getting better and being an asset for you, franchise sales, franchisee support, however you view it?
So one is the technology. So at Dogdrop, we build all of our technology We've raised billions of dollars in venture funding as well. We've invested a lot on the technology, over invested there. And that's something that's always going to hopefully get better. Our goal with the technology always goes back to one, it's two things. Can you operate the stores with it? At the bare minimum, we need something to operate the stores, right? And then the second thing is, can these improve unit economics? And how do you improve unit economics? So can it be, is this helping with retention? Is this helping with reducing labor? So for instance, in our software, we used to have someone at the front desk, a member care specialist. Throughout our model, even over the last 14 months and through our software and through our operational model, we've eliminated that role. If you say that role is $20 an hour, so let's call it, 3,800. If you're bringing down 3,800 to the bottom line for a franchisee per month, that starts to add up. So that's really what we're focused on there. And we have so many things in the backlog. It's just, can you keep up with that? Can you grow? But that's always going to be our focus. And so we have the technology, and I would say that's the most durable thing, because operations, we're trying to slice that within.
When you're speaking, it's very clear. You're very clear on mission, goals, all those brand attributes that to me aren't marketing, but they're just a reflection of the focus of your organization. And I think so many for new franchisors, even large systems, don't have a clear understanding of how they exist in the marketplace, why they exist, and their brand positioning.
I think when you add too many things, it gets hard. So I always go back to, why did we start this? And sometimes along the middle, it's like you start because you're the founder, you're also doing everything. I had a co-founder too. We're doing everything ourselves. So everything that happened was exactly how we envisioned it, because we're the one doing it. Then when you start delegating and growing, then you're like, oh, that was my vision. And maybe that's not happening exactly the way I would have done it, right? I think every founder is like, oh, that's not the way I would have done it. But you're like, okay. Then you start choosing, what things can I live with? What can I not? How can I delegate better? Do I need to be more specific in my expectation as well? Or just sometimes I'm like, let them run too. And then we've seen sometimes the brand, it went like this. We're like, that's not exactly what we're trying to do over here. And then really the last 18 months, we're like, let's go back to what we started as well, and really lean into that. We want to do one thing. We want to do it really well. Our job is to watch people's dogs during the day for an hour or all day. That's it. It's all we do. We do nothing else except watch your dog for an hour or all day, whether you're busy because you cannot watch your dog because you're busy, or your dog needs socialization. That's the only thing we do. And so when you make it super simple, you make milkshakes and that's the only thing you do, there's nothing else to talk about. So it's easy to be focused when you're only doing one thing.
Okay. So do you think about Dogdrop all night when you're sitting in bed, or like?
No, not anymore. There are some nights I'm like, oh, like, what about this or that? And I always say, if I'm thinking about an employee after 10 p.m., like, they're probably going to have to go tomorrow. Like, our team's awesome. I just want to let them do their own thing. And if there's something that you're thinking about after 10 p.m., then something's got to change.
All right. And then, so what's powering all this, Shaina? Like, when you think about it, like, as I get older, I start reflecting on more of why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I probably can't answer that, right? I know I'm excited every day, but what do you think's pushing all this?
I think there are a few things. Like, we have our responsibilities to our members who rely on our service. We have responsibilities to our care team, our employees who rely on their employment. We have a responsibility to our investors who rely on our business performing, and responsibility to our franchisees. Like, I talk to a lot of people who have started their own business. Like, I am paid to do this job. Like, I don't look at this like this is my baby. That's not me. I'm like, this is literally my job and I love it and I'm super passionate about it. I think it's clear, but I'm very objective too. And if there's someone who can better complete this mission, then they should do it. But I'm care about Dogdrop objectively, and I don't care where that puts me in the organization.
Shane, I appreciate the time. I mean, so I'm going to be looking. I mean, we're fans of the brand. What's coming up next?
Yeah, what's next is us showing up every day and doing the same thing over and over and over again. I think that's what franchising is, and hopefully doing it a little better each time, a bit more efficiently each time. too. So that's what we do every day, is try to bring more convenient, flexible dog daycares to neighborhoods across the US. We're opening a handful of stores over the next 12 months, which we're really excited about, and excited to work with great owner operators too.
Shaina, I appreciate the conversation today. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, great questions, Charles, and you guys are doing super interesting stuff. I love following your YouTube channel, so thanks for having me.
Awesome.